Welcome to the Building It podcast. This is a podcast all about helping you create great videos for social media so that you can attract an audience of people that truly care about what you got going on. Today, we got a special episode with Kensington Rhodes. Kensington has been on our team for a few months. He's been kind of leading our sales efforts and getting us to the next level. And today, we're going to be talking about the parallels between sales and building a personal brand. At first glance, it may seem like there's not a lot of parallels between those, but we had an interesting conversation before this episode, and we kind of wanted to share those with you guys. So, Kensington, if you want to get us started on this, that'd be great.
Definitely. For a lot of people, sales is kind of like a dirty word. And honestly, for me too, growing up, like when I picture salesperson, I picture, a guy with a gold tooth with his hair is kind of weird. He's got greasy palms. He's sitting out in the he's sitting out in front of like I don't know, he's either selling old used cars that are broken down that people probably shouldn't buy. But either way, like the image that comes to my mind, or at least came to my mind when I was growing up, was a sleazeball, someone who's trying to trick you into doing something. And if you think about the parallel between that and a personal brand, there are definitely people out there who are running around and they're taking the sleazeball approach. They're trying to, breadcrumb you. They're trying to give you little nuggets. Yeah. To make you think that they know what they're doing, to make you think that they have something awesome to give you. And then when you buy their stuff, turns out it was all fake. So one of the big things that really changed my mind about this, and this is actually what we were talking about that sparked this whole thing, is those types of salespeople are not just annoying and terrible to be around, but they're doing it wrong. Life is not about short-term gains and selling off pieces of your reputation and your integrity for the sake of a few quick bucks. That's not what it's about. It's about long-term growth and long-term connection. And that's why in sales and with building a personal brand, being authentic and truthful and actually looking to connect with people and help them is the most important key.
Yeah, I like the keyword like authentic and truthful, because like something that I've kind of been learning as like we've been doing more sales stuff, because like I'm not like a trained salesperson, but we've had to sell ourselves to get more clients. And it's like the more that I try to just finesse some random person, the worse of a project is going to be. And that it's more about like matchmaking. And it's like you have a solution to a problem. And if someone genuinely has that problem and is the right person, boom, it's a perfect match. And you're not trying to convince someone who's not the right person. And same kind of goes with what we've been talking about, building a personal brand. You don't want just random people following you. You want to be going after creating for a specific individual in mind and building like the right community of people. And like in order to do that, you have to put yourself out there authentically and honestly.
Yeah. I also think that like selling and building a personal brand, creating content are so similar in the sense that like people, when they think of sales, if they're not like really like if they're kind of a beginner on the topic of sales, they kind of think it's just all about pitching. But like really good sales is really all about helping and like really genuinely wanting to help the person on the other end, whether it be you're selling them solar for the roof or, pest control, whatever it is. But also like in the content that you make, you genuinely want to be creating content that's going to help that person and not just try to like trick them into a follow, I mean, I've seen like different like schemes on Twitter or other things where it's like they kind of trick people into following, like click that follow button and I'll send you a gift or whatever. And I don't know, it's like you want to have your viewers make a conscious decision to follow you and engage with your content. You don't want to be like trying to hard sell them into it because it's not going to work out good in the long run. And like that's kind of a recurring theme that we're talking about is like a personal brand is something that is a marathon and not a sprint. And if you're trying to like cash out really quick, then building a personal brand probably isn't the right thing that you should be doing right now. Like you should have like a pretty long time horizon on when you want to start like cashing out, so to speak, on your personal brand. Like if you're trying to start a personal brand and you want to get like a brand deal next week, like it's not going to happen. Or like you want to sell like a huge course or something to your fans, like odds are it won't happen right away because they don't trust you yet. You need to be putting out a lot of content, and it has to be really high quality so that people can actually generate trust for you. And the only way to get that trust is to actually deserve it and not trick or finesse them into it. Like there's no shortcut for real, genuine trust, you know?
Yeah, like I
Totally
feel
true.
like the alignment is really important of like, are you the person that's selling the right thing that you have the trust for? Like, because then you want it all to line up so that when it comes time to sell or promote whatever it is that you're selling, that it's going to the right people. It's not just like trying to sell hot dogs to vegans. Like,
Right.
you're not
Yeah.
going to get anywhere. There might be millions of vegans watching your videos, but then if you come out with a hot dog stand, like there, I mean, who knows? Maybe that strategy might just work with how backwards it is a vegan, like how controversial. But yeah, I think something that I'd love to hear your thoughts more on, Kensington, that you kind of talked about was how um, with sales, it's like about like building the relationship, and that's like a huge thing about like building a personal brand is like building a relationship between your audience and your following. And like what we were kind of saying was like, if I'm trying to sell and I just go in straight for the kill, like I just shoot one DM and I'm like telling you to buy my course or whatever,
You send them a Stripe
it
payment
looks like
link in the
spammy.
DMs.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like we were saying how it's like you want to look at it like a girlfriend, where it's like, or even dating a girl, where like if your
Hmm.
first thing, you first meet a girl and you're like, hey, come back to my room, like she's gonna be like, get away from me, like you're weird, and she's not gonna buy what you have to sell. But like if you like take her on a few dates, she comes over, you're Netflix and chilling, then you kind of make a move in the right moment in the right environment, she might just be down. And so like, yeah, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that, Kensington.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of parallels. If you think about it, going in at the very first touch point and trying to close somebody on something is very similar to going way over aggressive in dating, right? I mean, you gave the example of trying to get someone to come back to your house. If you want to take a more like emotional example, if on a very first date you start trauma dumping, you like share your deepest, darkest secrets with someone,
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to create a connection, like, yeah, you might have this like deep moment in the moment, but now you've put all this uncomfortable pressure on the other person. And what do we do when someone who's around us makes us uncomfortable? We avoid them. It's the same in sales. If in the first time that you meet somebody, you're just like unloading, here's the pricing, this is all the things you're going to do, and these are all the reasons why we're the best, and if you go with anybody else and you're an idiot, and you put all this uncomfortable pressure on them, they're not even going to answer your questions. You could be the best person in the whole world at asking questions, because we all know that sales is more about asking questions than about telling people things. But it doesn't matter what kind of awesome questions you ask if you started out at the beginning making them afraid of you, making them uncomfortable being around you. It's the same thing, sales, dating, even with your personal brand. If the first thing you do is run out there and start just unloading all kinds of crazy stuff on people, and you're like, you got to do this thing, you got to do this thing, and you're basically just asking them for all kinds of stuff to buy this thing and buy that thing, and you've built no relationship of trust, what are they going to do? They're going to block you. Just like how they would,
Yep.
on a date, a girl would ghost you afterward if you were too intense. It's the same idea. It's
Yeah.
like you got to play that push and pull game where the whole time along the way you're being authentic, you're being honest, you're not necessarily lying about anything, but there are times and places to share certain details, certain information. Like on the first date, you're not going to go into the deep history of how your mom beat you as a child. You want to like on the first date, you want to get to know each other, make sure that you can even enjoy talking, and then once
Mm-hmm.
you've built that relationship of trust, then you can get into the details. And sales is the same way. You don't want to just overload people from the very beginning by being over aggressive, over pushy. Instead, you want to actually be focused on understanding them and making sure that the two of you can actually connect properly.
Yeah, I love that. And it also just makes me think like in our past episodes, we talked about like reverse engineering comments that you want to hear, and how can you make like content that lives up to those comments. But even thinking of why people even go on social media in the first place. People use social media as a form of escaping their real world and connecting with new people, but they're not going there to be sold. Like, you know, like, do either of you guys follow Nike on Instagram? No, neither do I.
No.
Because why would I? Like, why would I just follow H&M, Like,
Yeah.
because I know they're just going to be promoting their new products to me. Like, you don't go
Which
on social media to be sold. Same goes with your personal brand. Doesn't mean that you can't sell, but
yeah.
you got to do it the right way. If you're just like on constantly, every post is like, guys, check this out. No one cares. They're just going to
Yeah.
scroll so quick, and the algorithm is going to see that as your content sucks. So no wonder you're getting 10 likes on all your posts.
Yeah. And I like what you said, Mike. Um, and because it's very interesting because like, yeah, big brands like that, they usually just post like their products, but it's like, there's so much more opportunity for big brands or really any brand to quote unquote sell on social media by not just posting their products. Like I would follow Nike, I would follow like I'm trying to think of like other cool, I mean like even Apple, I don't follow them on Instagram or anything like that. But if they could create like cool like video series where like Nike for example, where they do a cool like video series where they're doing a behind the scenes mini documentary with Tiger Woods or something, and it's like they're creating really good content that their customer avatar wants to watch, and they're kind of seeing like they're seeing themselves as like a TV broadcast like station network, and they're putting out content like that's, I mean that's the basis of content marketing. But it's just kind of a shame that a lot of even big companies don't follow that principle. Like they're
Yeah.
usually still just kind of having the archaic approach of producing, I mean, just not even, they're just sharing like their product pictures or models wearing their clothes, but that doesn't really always convert to like sales, in my opinion. People want to like connect emotionally on social media. And like you can do that through like really creative video series that still are like selling in a way, but it's being a lot less forward about it.
Yeah, because I also like when I think of like a brand that did a great job at this, it makes me think of Mercedes Benz, and they did a really dope series where they now like sponsor ASAP Rocky and the whole ASAP mob. They did this little documentary that was so like one of the coolest videos I've seen. Yet it's a brand deal for Mercedes in an
Mm-hmm.
organic way. And so I think it all boils down to like one thing that we talk about is like looking at your content in a sort of funnel type of fashion, and doing the right kind of content for the right, saying the right things for the right medium that you're doing. Don't be trying to do like a paid ad type of script on an organic video. It's not going to do very well. And like, if you're going to be doing a paid ad, like that's a place where, yeah, go do your selling, you're paying money, and it's going to come up as an ad where people are clear of your intentions. But like, that's not going to work as well with something that's like top of funnel, that it's like you want to be working them through. And maybe Truman, you can talk about this funnel a little bit more specifically of like the different parts of it.
Yeah. So can you guys actually see this?
Yep, I can see
Yeah.
it.
Okay, cool. I don't know if that was going to work or not. So yeah, this kind of transitions really nicely into what we were talking about before of like, um, in a funnel, a sales funnel, there's top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. And like the activities that you do in those various sections changes dramatically when it comes to creating content. Like, and if you see these arrows up here, like this is like essentially the traffic coming in from either TikTok or, any other platform. They're coming, oftentimes they're going to come across you like cold. They're not really going to know much about you, and you have a limited time with them to like kind of go back to selling, like sell them on why they should continue viewing your content. And so top of funnel stuff where they don't really know you need to be doing like very like inspirational content, educational content, how-to videos, things like that. And the point of this is just to generate awareness about you and what you got going on. And then if they want to like connect even deeper to what you have going on, you're going to share like, for example, like a case study or frequently asked questions. Like this relates really well if you have like a business. Like if I have like a landscaping company and I have a personal brand and I talk about my landscaping company with the hopes of getting more clients from my company, like I'm going to share every once in a while on my personal brand, I would share a case study of like a recent project that I did. But again, like from this perspective of like sales that we're tying in, like selling, I would also say it's not about you, the salesperson. It's about the person that you're trying to help. You know, it's about the prospect. And same
Fire.
with content. Like you want to make it be about the viewer and what's in it for them. And so even though in some way you're talking about yourself with like case studies and your brand and your business, you still want to have like a spin on it that the viewer is going to be able to take something away from it. You know, like here's a recent job site that we did, and here's one takeaway that would be really beneficial for your house, so you don't make the same mistake that this client did, whatever, you know. And then like bottom of funnel stuff is like where you actually have that viewer now in your ecosystem of like they're on your website, they're on your landing page, they may be on your email list, and you can kind of like do a more traditional like sales strategy of getting them to buy like a low ticket offer or you know attend an in-person event or something like that. But going back to like what we were talking about, like you don't want to be like selling, like trying to push your offer or your event at the top of funnel, because if like you remember, like these people are seeing you cold. And so that's the same thing of what we're saying. Like if you're going to a bar and you approach someone cold, like a girl, and you're like, hey baby, let's get married, you know, like she's gonna be like, what are you talking about, you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I would even go as far to say like if someone, even if a girl said yes to that proposition, she's probably not a good fit, you know,
Oh
long
yeah.
term. And
Yep.
so
Yeah.
you don't, in a business setting too, you don't really want someone that's just going to be like, yeah, let me wire you 10K right now, I don't even know you know, like because it's probably not a good fit. You don't really know that person, you don't know what their needs are, and it's just not really a good place to be at, you know.
It's probably a scam,
Right.
on both ends. Like maybe that girl's got a disease, maybe she's pregnant and she's trying to pin the baby on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
true.
and in the business, if someone's like, yo, well, let me send you 10 grand and you have like no relationship, they don't even know what you do, you're like, oh, this is one of those scams where they send me money and then they're like, oh, like whatever problem happened, you need to send it back. But then it turns out that the wire or the check bounced and now you're out 10 grand. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's a huge red flag. And I think that's one of the points about sales that we were talking about earlier is it doesn't have to be a dirty word. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. You don't have to sell off your own integrity and your own reputation in order to sell. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, if you do that, it's you're basically a pickup artist, right?
Right.
And in the world of personal branding and long-term relationships and long-term growth, we don't want to be the pickup artists. We want to be the people who have more like marriages, where we
Right.
have the long term in mind. And that's why it's so important that you are authentic, you are truthful, you are focusing on the other person. It's less of like customer and salesperson relationship and more of a partnership. Obviously, depending on your business, what that partnership looks like is going to be
Mm-hmm.
different, but you don't want to be seeing it as you got something over on somebody, that you tricked them,
Yeah.
because internally you're going to feel bad. And then when eventually what you've been doing comes to light, the relationship will crash and burn. Just like how if you got into a relationship with somebody based on lies, when the truth comes out, it's going to be a tough breakup. And you don't want to have that in business. You
Right.
want those people to go out and say good things after you or after you've finished working together.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how if you go on a date with someone, whatever reason doesn't work out, but if you were both pleasant to each other and one of their other friends notices you and says, hey, what do you know about that person? You want them to say good things about you afterwards so that your chances are increased. And it's the same thing in sales. It's the same thing with your personal brand. And really, in my opinion, it's the same with most things in life, where if you really focus on being authentic and taking care of the people around you, it will come back to you tenfold, a hundredfold, a millionfold. I don't even know, because when you put goodness out into the world, it will come back in some way.
Ooh, fire. I would say also another thought that I would share for our listeners to kind of consider in this conversation is what you're selling is going to determine like kind of how much involvement is going to be needed, you know, like whether it's a cheaper product or a more expensive product. Like I think of two examples that I want to highlight are the Nelk Boys, and they've got the Full Send podcast, and they've got their merch, and they've got their brand called Happy Dad where they sell drinks. Those are all fairly low ticket, where you know they don't got to even DM you, or all they do is at the beginning of the video say, hey guys, Happy Dad, we got this new flavor out, blah, 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 or check out our merch. They just plug it at the end of the video. And that's enough of a touch point to get someone to pull the trigger. And then the second example is Mr. Beast, who he's got his brand, billion-dollar brands here. Both Full Send and Mr. Beast are at the top of the game in terms of creators who are selling, yet they don't come across as salesy.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is that it's low ticket. What Mr. Beast is selling is Feastables chocolate bars that's in Walmart. But just by showing it in the videos, he's able to sell it. Now, if you're someone that has a marketing agency or something that is a higher ticket offer, you might need to have a few more steps in your funnel than someone like Mr. Beast, who can just at the beginning of the video say, hey, check this out, you know? So I think consider what it is that you're selling, who it is that you're selling to, because there's no necessarily general advice, but you want to be aligned. And you're not, Mr. Beast isn't trying to sell to entrepreneurs or marketing agency type of avatars. And those same marketing agencies aren't trying to sell to Mr. Beast avatar, who is maybe a 14-year-old kid who convinces his mom to throw a chocolate bar in her shopping cart. It's a way easier purchasing decision and requires a lot less work in that funnel.
Yeah, I think something that you said, like, or if I could relate what you said back to like the relationship advice thing, like a marriage proposal, that's like a high ticket offer type of thing. And it's like, if you could think of it in that way, a low ticket offer is like, hey, do you want to grab coffee on Tuesday? Like, it's like they're able to say yes a lot easier to something that's a low ticket, because it's also low, like there's not a lot to lose, you know, on that. Like, they're gonna be out like
$5 for the
$5 in an hour of their time. Like, the risk is really low on that, you know. But and the same thing with the low ticket offer, you know, $20, like you're buying a t-shirt, whatever. If you get it and it's like too big, whatever, it's $20, you know. Or if you buy Happy Dad and you don't like it, whatever, you know. But if it's like a marriage proposal and you say yes and it turns out to be the wrong thing, that's a big thing, you know. That's a lot of risk there. And same thing if like you can't just sell your 10K monthly package straight away from the DMs, because there's a lot of risk involved when they don't know you, you know. It's a big ask to do that.
Yeah. So I also I feel like it's all a matter of what size you are, where your brand is at. Because something that we are like advocates for is that you don't need 1 million followers to be able to make a living off of social media. And we're going to dive into this on the next episode. That's about like, you know, not all viewers are created equally, you could say. But it's like someone like Mr. Beast and Full Send, they already have millions of subscribers. So it's to their best interest to sell a low ticket item. That's why a lot of big YouTubers and creators sell merch, because it's really easy way to support them. But if you're a smaller creator, you can sell higher ticket services and build these long-term relationships. And also, I would just say keyword of this whole conversation is, if you're trying to get those higher ticket sales, focus on the long-term relationship of actually finding the person that you can benefit, you being the right person to provide that solution based on your experience. And you're not trying to finesse anybody. You're just trying to find the people that you can actually help them solve the problem that they're running into. And it will create a meaningful relationship that over the span of multiple years or the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah.
So Kensington, you got any final thoughts to share on this topic of the parallels between sales and personal branding?
I think I'd just say, when in doubt, just try to be human and compassionate and understand the other person's point of view. You can get around a lot of awkward things and a lot of mistakes if you actually have the person's best interest in mind. And that applies to your audience with your personal brand. That applies to in a sales situation. And as we've talked, it also applies in dating or other parts of your life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, this is going to turn into a dating podcast. If you guys want some more dating advice from three nerds.
Right. Well, that was a super sick episode. And once again, this is the Building It podcast, all about dedicated to helping you build a strong personal brand of an audience of people that actually want to support what you got going on. And we just want to give all of the insights, strategies, tips that we have or that we've come across to help you do that. So check out our social medias below, and then also check out templemill.co for more info on this. All right.
All right, guys. Great combo. Thanks for coming on, Kensington. Follow at Kensington Charles on TikTok and social media. It's got some dope travel content and just other more content coming. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lots more coming.
Okay.
all right,
Sounds
guys.
good.
Talk to you
Okay.
later.